Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com and the Big Four Accounting Firms YouTube channel. Before we get started, just wanted to remind everybody to support us if you have a chance or if you can. Even $1 helps, and we have a link in the description to a website called Buy Me a Coffee. It's just a way to donate to us and support us. Again, any amount is helpful so that we can keep putting out content. And there's also other ways for you to support us in the show notes to this podcast or on YouTube in the description. In today's episode, I wanted to talk about career planning, especially now during COVID-19 and all the stuff that's going on with the Big Four. It's important to plan your career, and we've spoken a little bit about this in the past few months, but wanted to speak about it some more. We recently got a comment on our YouTube channel from someone who said their internship is going very easy and everyone is very friendly because they saw one of our videos where I guess we were saying the work that you work on isn't always going to be the best and people aren't always going to be the nicest. And that was meant to be more of a generalization of the majority of the time in the Big Four. That's what's going to happen. Obviously, it's going to be very different situations. And it's good news that the person's experiencing this, but that is not normal in the Big Four. And I mean, it's evident in the news. Why would they be laying people off? Why would they be cutting their pay if they were so pro-employee and everything was great? And this person was an intern, and this was their experience on internship. They haven't even gotten a full-time offer yet. But I think for the largest part, that's not going to be the case. And that's not to say that your Big Four career is going to be terrible all the way around. It's just that that's not the normal in the Big Four, to have everything easy peasy and everybody catering to you, because that's not what the Big Four are there to do. If you feel very safe and comfortable in the Big Four, you better start packing your things, or you better not expect promotions. Or the alternative way to look at it is, if you feel very safe and comfortable in the Big Four, it's probably because you're working around the clock and you're doing a ton of things and you're meeting all your goals and you're very well politically connected in your group and across the firm, not just in your office, not with just a couple of your buddies and a couple associates. It's all up and down the chain with your clients. You're well networked. The Big Four are all about working at a fast pace, working around the clock, and making more money. They want more revenue and for you to work more hours. That's how they make money. They make money on the amount of hours you work. So if you're working 9 to 5, you're just not doing it right. If you work in an office where everything is low key right now, then something is wrong. Either you are on an internship like this person was, or you're about to be let go. The Big Four don't employ you to make your life easy and simple. They employ you to make them more money. The reason they make internships easy is because they want people to accept the full-time offers. If internships were very difficult, as the real job is, way less people would accept offers. The Big Four would not get the best candidates out of college if they did this. And a lot of people already know this, because for many people out there, it's tough for them to get a Big Four offer to begin with. But there's other candidates that are at the best accounting schools and they get a Big Four offer for an internship really easy, and then they get the full-time offer very easily. But that's not the case for everybody else. And if you have an easy life at the Big Four, then you better not be expecting promotions, bonuses, or good raises. You're just there clocking in and clocking out. But this also depends in the city you're in, because if you're in a small office, this is very possible. However, I doubt this is true, since the Big Four are letting people go all over the place. So if you're in one of those easy locations, that location might not be around much longer, or you might be getting downsized, or they'll lend you out to a bigger city, because everything's virtual. So now these people that were in smaller cities and had easier lives in the past are not going to have it easy anymore, because any excess capacity they're going to have is going to be lent out to a bigger city, some of the largest cities in the world. That's what's going to be happening. And those larger cities, let's say New York in the United States, for example, where it's very expensive and they previously had employees that earned high salaries, well, you can find somebody that has capacity in a cheaper city and then fire those people in New York because they're more expensive. So the Big Four could fire those people and just use all these people that had an easy life in smaller cities. So that's a possibility, and that's most likely happening as well. With all that being said, You need to plan your career out, and it would probably be best to do this in 2-year time periods. And you need to plan for all sorts of things. You should be striving to get promoted every couple of years. You should also plan on having some speed bumps in your career. You'll never know. You might work with some bad teams and you'll need to switch groups, which means your promotions might take longer. Alternatively, you need to plan for times where the economy is bad like it is right now. So that's another hiccup in your career. Either way, you need to plan all this out so that you mentally prepare yourself for what is to come, whether or not you choose to work for the Big Four. The hardest thing for most people to realize is that their career will last a long time. And you need to plan what your career will be like so that it doesn't surprise you when something goes wrong. And you can play around with different ideas. For example, how will you respond if it takes you 4 years to get to senior associate? Will you quit the firm? What if you get senior associate in 2 years, but it takes you another 4 years to make manager? How will you respond then? And also, what happens when all your friends leave the firm? Will you leave the firm too because you'll be depressed? Or will you stick around and make it to partner? When will you make the connections in your career that will provide you with a strong network that you need to succeed? How many vacations will you take a year? What time of year will you take the vacations? How much money will you save per year? These are all the things that you need to plan out. And additionally, you need to remember that the Big Four employ you to make them money. They don't employ you to make your life easier. If you think that's your purpose at the Big Four because that's what they pitch you, then you have another thing coming. Additionally, that's not a good political strategy. If you are complacent, that means there's another person planning how to take advantage of you or take your place. They'll take advantage of your weaknesses. That's just the way politics in a competitive firm works. You should always look at your career from the perspective of the value you add to the firm and how you can take credit for the value that you provide. This isn't college anymore. You don't sit back in your seat and get extra credit for getting an A or doing a good job. Not only do you need to get that A, but you need to take credit for getting that A, and you need to make that A as visible as possible. And you need to be able to put your name in front of people that matter, like the partners that matter the most, not the partners that don't matter. And it doesn't matter whether or not you did the grunt work, the toughest work. People don't care. It's about how you take credit for it, how you politically align yourself with the strongest people, and how you don't. And you also need to remember that your career is going to last a long time. That's why I suggest you plan it out in 2-year increments so you can see how it's going to span over a 30 or 40-year career. And these 2-year increments are just for the beginning of your career, because the beginning of your career is going to come at you very fast. Because you don't know that much, you don't know that many people, so it's going to come at you very fast. But at the end of the day, you need to remember that this career is going to last a long time. And if you sit there planning it out, you can be ready for a long career. Where most people are drinking from a fire hose, essentially, and they get overwhelmed and they panic and they leave. And that's what you can take advantage of. You can take advantage of their inexperience and their ability to plan. But if you plan out, then you'll be ready for all this. So that's today's podcast. To get more information like this, make sure to subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and support us through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description to the show notes if you can. If you cannot, make sure to support us on our YouTube channel by subscribing, liking, and commenting on the video. Thanks for listening.